Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Truth Report. And joining us, I think one of our longest returning guests is the analyst of time, Polny. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, Noah. I guess everybody loves Bible prophecy because with where everything's going right now, the only thing left is the word of God, because it's like everybody's been waiting for the world to change, and yet it hasn't.
Well, I posted earlier today. It's funny you say that. I said this has been the craziest first 5 days start of a year that I ever remember in my entire lifetime. I mean, this is just wild, and I think it's just getting started.
Yes, exactly. That's really the essence of what our podcast is going to be today. A good a bullet point or a header. We're about to step into a time that we've been talking about, but I'll explain why in terms of the podcast. But we're stepping into a time of millions of people are soon going to be either A, disappeared, or B, dead. But this is going to be historic, what's about to happen. It's going to be biblical. It's tying into what has happened in the times of old. And we're about to witness this in our world. And you're right, Noah. It started just as a New Year's hit, or the alleged New Year hit here, with what Trump did on the Friday into the weekend with Venezuela.
Yeah. Well, let me do just a little housekeeping here, and then we'll jump right in. I'm already seeing a bunch of people live with us on YouTube. So hello. If you're seeing us and hearing us, just give me a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I always love throwing those up on the screen and seeing who is here. So welcome to everybody who is with us. We're also live on Rumble. So if you're over there, I see a lot of people in the room. Drop a comment over there. Let me know that you're connected okay and everything's coming through. And then we're live on X as well. So find us one of those three places. And as I always like to do, we're live right now. It's Monday, January 5th, about 4:30 Central Time. So if you're with us right now, you're live, and we will take questions. Bo is happy to take any questions you have, so drop those in the chat. If you're watching later on, that's cool too. But it is fun always doing this live. And I always like to do a quick check on prices. And so, Bo, you seem to be good luck. I guess having the analyst of time on the show is a good thing. Bitcoin has all of a sudden shot up today. We're sitting at 94,300, and XRP has really shot up. It's up 11% just on the day. It's at 233, and it looks like it's just ready to take off. Bo, I want to get your thoughts on both of those later on, of course. And then the last little price check we'll do, since the last time you were on, Bo, which was, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think silver was, I don't know, in the 50s or 60s. I'll have to go back and look. Silver is now at 76.51. I think it went as high as 82. And Bo, you were one of the only people saying that for years and years and years. And all I would ever hear or read in the comments or get emails from people is, you're so stupid. Silver's never going to go over 30. And now it's at $76. So that's my little summary, Bo. I'll turn it over to you. We want to hear about all that stuff. We want to hear about gold, silver, crypto, Bitcoin, XRP, any new prophetic words. I know you've got basically brand new slides today, so take it away.
I want to give all glory to God first, because I'm telling you, there's no way that I could be doing what I'm doing, and you and I would be together actually doing these things, Noah, without God being in the middle and in the midst of all of this. So, and he specifically, I've been praying for the Lord, praying and trying to really listening very closely, trying to see. I want more details of where we're specifically at and what's about to happen. And wow, the past 24 to 40 hours, the revelation that I've received, which I'm literally going to be showing on the podcast right here, it's breathtaking what's about to happen here and how all the pieces fit so absolutely beautifully in biblical divine timing. And like you brought up the finances, okay, this is so important. And you can confirm this, we don't need to show it, but in my last several reports on the private newsletter that I write for Bitcoin, specifically, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I think a paragraph like into it, or one of the main lines that I've addressed is, we've been waiting and waiting for a a financial shift. I guess the word is we've all been waiting for the great wealth transfer. I think we can all agree on that, right? It's
right.
written in scripture, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, right? So we've been waiting for this forever. People have mocked us saying silver's never going to go above 50. Okay. So that be the case, we've been proven 1,000% right. We don't need the glory for this, but what I'm trying to illustrate here is that in order, and this is the key line that's in that private newsletter that I write, is that silver is the marker and silver is the one thing that will destroy the price manipulators. And when you destroy the price manipulators, guess what's going to happen to XRP? Guess what's going to happen to Bitcoin? Guess what's going to happen to the alternate coins? Okay. It's all predicated not about the blockchain. It's about silver destroying the bankers. What's written in the newsletter? That's specifically the essence of this. Noah, the globalists use money to control and enslave humanity. We've talked about the podcast and all the past year. We said in the 70s, we were in the 6 zeros, then we went to the 9 zeros. 12. Now we're in the 15 zeros and the quadrillions of dollars. Noah, one thing that you and I can attest to 1,000% is the globalists will never stop creating money. They will never give up power. Can we be in a complete agreement on that?
Yeah, I think that's true.
There's that's all you can say. They will never give up power. They will never give up control. They've got the computers and the know-how to manipulate the price of everything. What have we learned? Not only is the price of everything a fraud and a fake, so is the news media. Trump even called them out years ago as, the fake news, right? Everybody thought that was crazy too. And now we, 5 years later, find out Trump knew exactly what he was saying. It is all fake news, okay? So it's fake news, fake money, fake religion, fake everything out there. The only truth is God, Jesus Christ. And that's what this has come down to, okay? It's literally come down to choose this day whom you will serve. And why I say all that is because the silver itself is going to be what God uses to destroy the bankers. Why? They actually sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, the wage of a slave. And now God is going to use silver to destroy the bankers. When silver destroys the bankers, and this is not if, when this goes down, and it goes down this month, you'll see why in a minute. When this event happens, you're going to see XRP, you're going to see Bitcoin, you're going to see the blockchain do a rip explosion to the upside. That's why you just referenced, hey, for whatever reason, Bitcoin and XRP are upsizable today, right? Why? Because they're finally starting to lose control. And they basically had a line in the sand. They actually, I'm just telling you, the marker, and you can go back and look at the charts, they have had since Christmas, okay? This is interesting. Look at, so Christmas Day, the 25th, on the Gregorian calendar, silver ripped through $71, okay, and went straight vertical, and it went to $84 within a matter of a day or two. $84. That's insane. The bankers freaked out. That I remember this is last weekend. The entire weekend, my iPhone basically said silver's up through the weekend, like $7.50 or whatever it was. Like it was over $7. We've never seen that. That was the greatest one-day move in the history of silver. And oh, what a coincidence. It happened Christmas, the 25th in the afternoon. And then it went into Friday morning. Like that was just biblical. And they went gangbusters, nuts. They created billions of dollars, plowed it into the silver market to hammer it back down. It did nothing more than bounce off 71 and came right back up again. And where's it sitting right now, Noah? You just said it, 76, okay? No matter what they do, this game ain't working anymore. They with silver, what do? They said, we're going to increase the margins. Well, where have they done that before? With the Hunt brothers? They did it in 2011. Every time silver goes up into the 50s, they increase the margins and then they slam silver. Guess what? They increase margins, I think, 2 or 3 times in a matter of 2 or 3 days. And it's back at 76. Noah, their game ain't working anymore.
Yeah, that's right. But Bo, it's so funny. On Google, when you search up silver price, it'll give you the price there. And then, it always has below that like some other questions you might ask, some related questions. And it was so funny because silver's sitting at like $79, and the questions below it said the first 2 questions. One was, will silver ever break 50? And then 2 was, when will silver break 50? It was already $29 higher than that. It moved so fast and so far that it moved faster than Google.
And exactly. I did a couple searches using that the AI program, and yeah, you're right. It was referencing like $35, $50. Actually, pretty funny that even the AI programs haven't caught up to what the price is doing.
No,
it's incredible to watch this price action. But again, so this is I want the viewers to be crystal clear understanding this. Okay. Bitcoin, the reason it's at 88, 90,000, 95,000, the reason it went to 124,000, because they can't create blockchain. So they can't control the price of Bitcoin. So it started out at under $1. They cannot make derivative contracts to control the price. All they got is fake news, right? So in a certain day, all the media stations say Bitcoin is blah, 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 and it dies, right? For 24 hours. And then they've been doing this for 300 times plus it's already happened, the death of Bitcoin, and it's never died, right? So they use the fake news to propaganda, to push out a fake narrative. And so the globalists the entire time have been piling in on Bitcoin. Okay, why? Because if they piled in on silver or gold, man, gold would be 100,000 right now. You see what I'm saying? So Bitcoin's been the release valve. For the money creation, because when you make money, it's got to go somewhere. Where did it go? Let's think about this. Well, it went into the price of a car because that was $44,000 when I was growing up.
Right.
Okay. It went into the price of a home because those homes were 30 to 50,000 when I was growing up. 70s and the 80s. Now they're $500,000 to $1 million. So when you create this money, it's got to go somewhere. Okay, so in addition to the car values, home values, and inflation, they've basically been piling it into Bitcoin, and that's why Bitcoin's been rising. Okay, but they've never say anything positive about it because why? They want you to be a SERP. What's a SERP? It's a slave to the system.
Yep.
Okay, now how does this game end? Well, you got to go to the Bible. The Bible's very clear. It says the wealth of the sinner, so the globalists that have all this money, their wealth is stored up for the righteous, for the church. My God doesn't lie. He can't lie. That scripture is written. And because it's written, just because it hasn't happened, doesn't mean that it's a lie. It means it hasn't happened yet. And now we're at a point in time where it's about to go down. And the marker is silver, okay? So the prophecy was silver would go through $50 in the year of Jubilee. Okay, so Noah, we've done a podcast before, hopefully you remember. When did the year of Jubilee start? It started on the 4th of July, 2025, last year. That's when the year of Jubilee began. It's Isaiah 61. It's in my book as well. Wrote it a year and a half ago. Okay. So the year of the Lord's favor, Isaiah 61, talks about a year, an entire 12-month window where it's the year of the Lord's favor. And in that year, Isaiah continues on, there's one single day of God's vengeance where God intervenes upon humanity and changes the course of history. Noah, if we were to believe that we're going to witness a moment in time like the Great Flood or the parting of the Red Sea, if someone were to tell me that when I was a kid, I think they're crazy. Right? Like, I honestly would think, hey, Bo, when you get older, you're going to witness an event like the Red Sea miracle. You're going to witness an event like the Great Flood. I think you're nuts. You're crazy. And yet, this is what I'm telling the world that's about to happen based on biblical timing. This is crazy. Okay, so we're about to witness a move of God, the likes of which the world has never seen before.
That starting last year on 4th of July, then that ends this year on 4th of July, which is America's 250.
That's correct. So now let me ask a question to you. You sent me a video called the Colloid's Conjecture, and the video is what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you sent it to me.
Yeah.
And I've watched that video. I've made some slides off of it. We're going to talk about that in a second. But in that video, and I'm glad you bring this up because there's a little clip of you want to cue up the clip and get it ready. But in that video, it talks about a 4-2-1 cycle, which we've been talking about. The Lord revealed to me years ago. Okay. I never knew what it meant initially. And now through the years, now the Lord's been downloading incredible details on what 4-2-1 represents. This video that we're going to play a 1 minute clip of, this video itself, understand this video has 40, not this one, this is a clip of it, but the video itself, the full length video has got, at this moment in time, as we speak, it's got 44 million views on it. And why? Because this equation is the simplest math problem in the world that no mathematician, the best mathematicians in the world, have not been able to solve. It actually depicts, and the equation is 3x plus 1. We'll talk about that in a second, but 3x plus 1. Oh, Trinity times x. X would be any number, any variable that the devil would throw at God to try to change the outcome. Okay, so whatever the devil throws into the equation to try to change the outcome, so 3x plus 1, no matter what variable the devil throws at God, it's all calculated plus 1, and the end result is God. 1. So play the video and in a second, and then the video actually creates what's called a menorah. So watch this, and you'll see why this past Christmas was historic. This past what do they call it? The Rosh, no, not Rosh Hashanah. The past Christmas they call menorah. The Hebrew call it. I'm going to blank here. Hanukkah. Yeah, there it is. So the Hebrew people, it's the Hebrew Hanukkah uses the menorah. So everything for the past 2,000 years since Christ has been a calculation down to this past Christmas. So play the video.
Yeah, can I just say really quickly?
Whatever you want. Yeah, go ahead.
Just add to, you were describing it great there, but this is so fascinating. And you have been coming on this show, I think, for 5 years now, and you have been talking about the 4-2-1 cycle, 4-2-1, and that's been one of your big things. And you've shown how it fits perfectly into stock market trends over the course of years. You've shown how it fits into crypto and Bitcoin. You've shown how it fits over world events and stock market crashes and everything else. This 4-2-1 cycle, and then all of a sudden, I was watching a video one day on YouTube, and it's exactly what you're talking about here. It's called the Colloid's Conjecture, and it's basically just this mathematical formula. And you were talking about it, but you start with any number you want in the world, any number. They've proven it with as high up as they can send the computers to calculate it. You could start with 1, you can start with 5, you can start with 22, you could go as big as you want. If the number whatever number you have, if that number is even, these are the rules of the game. If the number is even, you divide by 2. If the number is odd, you do what Bo said. You multiply it by 3 and add 1, 3x plus 1. Those are the only 2 rules of the game. And then you just keep doing it. So if you start with 6, well, that's even. You go down to 3. That 3 is odd. So 3 times 3 is 9. Add 1, you're at 10. Well, that's even again. You drop down to 5. 5 times 3 plus 1 is 16. 16 is even. Half of that is 8. Half of that is 4. Half of that is 2. Half of that is 1. No matter what number you start with, you always end up in a 4-2-1, 4-2-1, 4-2-1 cycle. Because once you get to 1, you do 3 times 1 plus 1, and you get to 4. So when I saw that, I sent it to, it was like late at night. I emailed it to, or texted it, or sent it on X or something. I sent it over to Bo, And I said, Bo, you're never going to believe this. Have you heard about this? And you had it. So it wasn't like that was the other cool thing is like, you were like, oh, I've never heard of this before. Your independent research came up with the 4-2-1 cycle. Then it turns out there's this thing that's existed for years. It's baffled mathematicians. They can't explain why it works. They've trained computers on it and said, go as high as you can go. And so far it can't find a number that doesn't fit the thing. And then what I'm going to hit play on, and I haven't seen it yet, you sent it to me, is when you play that game mathematically, I guess, and you draw it out, you see what looks like a menorah. So
right, and to add in, so when I was in Switzerland, I was in Vienna at a crypto conference. I would go to the coat check, and I give my coat to the lady, and she gives me back a ticket 421. I'm like, what? Or is it a 124 ticket? I'm like, what? So that night, I'm like, Lord, show me what this means, because I knew this meant something. You know, I've known this is meaning something, and then it's 4,000 years of the Jews, 2,000 years of the Gentile, 1,000-year millennial reign. So it's a 7,000-year big picture. But that night, the Lord revealed to me how you can actually apply it to stock markets, like you said, how you can apply it to finance. So you're right. There's so many different ways it applies, but the big picture of it is time. But yes, it also applies to time in stock markets and precious metals, all kinds of stuff. You're right.
All right, here we go. Let's play the video.
One way to visualize these paths of numbers in 3x plus 1 is simply to show how each number connects to the next one in its sequence. This is called a directed graph. It looks like a tree or a series of little streams that flow into each other. If the conjecture is true, it means that every single number is connected to this graph. It means that every single number is connected to this graph. Every tiny stream all the way out to infinity eventually flows into the massive river of 4, 2, 1.
So
there we go.
Said, pop the slides up, Noah, and let's get into some of this fun, some of the incredible, information, biblical timing. So this is called a 4-2-1 loop. Okay, it ties in with what's called the Christmas miracle. But basically, everything for 2,000 years has now run down to Christmas, the 21st, actually, and then into the 25th. So let me show you this. So the timing on this is incredible. It ends up with 8, 4, 2, 1. So number 8 would be the December 12th. The 19th of this would be the 4. The 23rd would be the 2. And December 25, Christmas Day, would be 1. And what happened on that day? That afternoon, silver spiked, the greatest one-day move of silver ever in the history of silver. Okay, this is how perfect this math behind all of this is. So it ties in with biblical timing, the menorah. It ties in even with Trump. So I'm going to show some incredible things. Trump wins the election November 8th, 2016. Okay, if you add 3,333 days, it's Christmas Eve. You can't make this stuff up. If we look at the calendar further, all the math is pointing to the 21st through the 24th into the 25th being a pivotal marker for mankind. So in other words, everything began to shift right at Christmas time point. And this ties in directly with why Trump is, he's God's anointed. But remember the prophecy of Trump, okay? He's supposed to be a praying president in his second term.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the Kim Clement prophecy. And also, for those of you who got distracted with what they were saying about Erica Trump, okay? Everybody was screaming from the rooftops, that she fulfills the Kim Clement prophecy of her being Esther. Okay, that's not true, not even possible to be true, because if you listen to the prophecy itself, it says that Esther will arise in the middle of the Trump presidency. So when's the middle? January 2027.
Okay.
And
sure.
She will arise, this new Esther, and remember, Esther of old was married to the king. And she was beautiful. But the key was married to the king. So things we want to look at. Number 2 is she rises in the middle of presidency. Here's the key words: to heal a nation. Okay? Let me tell you, the last thing our nation needs right now is to be healed. You know what our nation needs right now, Noah? God's vengeance. Okay, back to Isaiah 61. The year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. So we're in the year of the Lord's favor. It started on the 4th of July. It ends next 4th of July. Oh, what a coincidence that from that time point I just gave you, Noah, from Christmas Day, the 25th on the Gregorian calendar, if you had 5 months, 5 weeks, and 5 days, oh, what a coincidence. It's 4th of July, 2026.
Yeah, that boy, everything points to that just being huge.
I'm just telling you, this is not possible. This is not possible. So basically, all the possibilities that the devil threw at God ended lining up specifically on Christmas Day. And on that day, silver had its greatest one-day move in history. And from this day, silver starts its massive price explosion to numbers that will blow our minds. And why is that important? Because when silver launches, it destroys the bankers. When the bankers are destroyed, their manipulation is gone and eliminated. And guess what happens to Bitcoin? Guess what happens to XRP? Guess what happens to the alternate coins? The greatest moonshot you've ever seen in history. But here's the actual even more awesome part. As awesome as XRP and the Bitcoin prices are going to move, you know what's going to outperform all of it? Silver. Because it's been manipulated for so long that God, when he intervenes, he's going to make sure that these bankers are obliterated, and silver is going to go to numbers that will be breathtaking.
I love it. I love it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So everybody, I know you've been waiting, and I want to show you what the Lord revealed to me today. Remember, we've said before, and I'll say it again, these are not political times. No, they are biblical.
That's
okay?
right.
So everything going on is biblical. Okay, so where I am personally waiting for a birth of something new. I hope everybody else is too. But let me tell you, the world we live in, it's so simple. It's run by the prince of the air, the devil. So I'm waiting for God to intervene and take out the devil for a season where they go into hiding. Okay, so when God intervenes, this is like think of it like a sunrise. We wake up; it's dark and dark and dark. So the world, as great as it is, with the blood of Christ, the glory on the earth, there still is immense darkness on the earth, and you can see it, especially in the past 5 years. You can't deny the darkness that has appeared in the past 5 years.
Absolutely.
Anybody who says the past 5 years didn't go to hell, like the past 5 years, all you can say, the world is just flipped upside down in the past 5 years, and God did that intentionally to show the world what evil's agenda is and how sick evil is. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, my mind immediately goes to, there were several of those press conferences or videos that Joe Biden put out, and it was like red and evil behind him, and it was all dark. You remember those? Disgusting. It looked physically evil, and then he did that creepy whispering voice. I mean, it really, evil's the only word to describe all of that stuff. It was horrible.
We can go on and on about that, but for time, we'll just save time, but just please people, the past 5 years, man, if you hadn't seen evil, there's a beautiful depiction of what evil looks like. And remember, and it's when the Antichrist system rises in the future, here's what you need to know. It's going to be magnitudes worse than that, because right now we can pray away evil. We can pray away evil because of the Holy Spirit, the blood of Jesus, okay? When the Antichrist system rises, God gives evil a window of time. And because it comes down to choose this day whom you will serve, those who decide to not choose Jesus because God's now going to do the exact opposite. This is the cool part, right? So God is showing the world immense evil. Okay, so you've seen it. Now, Noah, imagine now stepping into the greatest time point in human history where we are going to witness with our own eyes signs, miracles, and wonders. Okay, so we've seen immense evil for 5 years. And now for the next 5 years, we're going to see glory with signs, miracles, and wonders, people rising from the dead, getting out of wheelchairs, miracles that will blow your mind. So you've seen evil, and then we're going to see immense glory. And after that time passes, you will have had the opportunity. So you can't say, oh God, I didn't know, because God even says in scriptures, before he returns, his name will be spoken across the four corners of the earth. That's scripture, okay? So because his glory appears on the earth, there is no way you're going to miss the glory of God. And after that windows of time, people will have chosen either evil or Christ, but they will have chosen. Okay, that's how the stage is set. And then God gives a window of time for the Antichrist to rise, but the church won't be here. So why I'm saying this is because when the sun comes up and we've been in darkness, what happens to the darkness? Noah, when the moment the sun comes up, what happens to darkness? Mm-hmm. It's gone.
Gone.
It's gone. Okay. So the moment the glory appears on the earth, the darkness is gone. It can't stand. So what's about to happen is millions of people are either A, going to suddenly disappear, and this is the scripture, Psalms 37, verse 10, in a little while the wicked will be no more, okay? And or many people are about to die as well too. There'll be deaths, but these are people who are not attached to the demonic entities. They're going to die as a result of things that are going on in the world, okay? So we're waiting for the birth of a new era. Before the new era is birthed, remember, before Jesus ever came on the earth, what happened? Star of Bethlehem, okay? And then there's a prophecy of Balaam in Numbers written 3,500 years ago. And it says, a star will arise from Jacob, a scepter will emerge from Israel, and will crush the head of Moab's people. This is the mortal wound that the devil's about to get. The biblical timing I've shown you on this, from the birth of Jesus, it's 8 cycles. 8, remember, what does 8 represent, Noah? New beginning, okay? Mm-hmm. So new beginning times 8 cycles of 248 years plus 40 years in the wilderness, right there, takes you, and boom, oh, what a coincidence, the Star of Jacob appeared to the exact year, 2024, September 2024, okay? So now the stars appeared. All that hasn't happened is we haven't seen the fulfillment of this star, the birth of God's kingdom, the birth of the latter house, okay? In addition to this, that was a prophecy of 3,500 years. This is a prophecy of 2,500 years. And this prophecy says that Babylon will fall. And all that's missing in this prophecy is the last piece of it, Daniel 2, verse 34. Okay? And guess what? It goes down in 2026. It was I initially thought it was going to go down in the latter part of 2025, only to find out it's based on the Julian calendar. So Noah, play the video about the 2 clocks where the devil created. What happened was, it's very interesting, but we played it before on other channels. I may have played it. I know I played it. But basically what happened was Pope Gregory, and the year was let me give you the year here. It was Pope Gregory in the year, in 1582, removed 10 days from the calendar, and that stepped us out of the Julian calendar and put us into the Gregorian calendar. And presently, the Gregorian calendar is 13 days ahead of the Julian calendar. So you'll see why this is important, because if you're using the wrong clock, you'll think that we're already in New Year's. But the reality of it today being January 5 Gregorian, heck, we haven't even seen Christmas yet, Noah. And then New Year's follows. So go ahead and play the prophecy.
All right, here we go.
The Spirit of the Lord says, there have been two clocks, two watches. I am about to annihilate one of the clocks. There has been the agenda and the timing of man, and the agenda and the timing of the Lord God Most High. God said the one clock has indicated one season, but the other clock has been ignored, which has been mine. People have said, but there is poverty around us, and there is sickness, and things don't seem to be getting better. The Spirit of the Lord said they've been looking at the wrong clock. They've been looking at the wrong timing. God said in Jerusalem in the time of Christ, he said, had you known that this was your day of visitation. The Spirit of God says, my dear man, visitation comes from the Greek word episkope, which simply means an inspection. There have been an inspection during this past decade, but that inspection was to see if you qualify for what I'm about to pour upon the house of the Lord. And God said, I say to you, yes, you have qualified. And God said, I've inspected you, and I've seen your hearts want something different. Your hearts want something new. And God said, because of that, I have annihilated the other clock. I have annihilated the other clock, said the Lord. And I have given to you what my timing dictates. I'm going to pour out upon you in prosperity like you've never had before, says the Lord. Come on.
There we go.
What was the last part of that? Okay, the two clocks, but when he annihilates the clocks, he's going to pour out a prosperity on you like you've never seen before.
That's right.
Okay, so pop the screen on the slide itself. So I'm going to show the world that the two clocks, that when Christ, yes, I know there's a Hebrew calendar, okay? So there's a Hebrew calendar as well too. But we're not talking about the Hebrew calendar right now. We're talking about the calendar that was used when Christ walked on the earth. They were using the Julian calendar. It's over 2,060 years old. Presently, it's 13 days behind the Gregorian. So this is important to understand. So now I'm going to go into some details here, which is really breathtaking. Now we're looking for a biblical move of God. So I'm giving you a biblical move of God was an exodus. Okay. This is where God showed up and literally destroyed Pharaoh. And on the other side of the Red Sea, there was no one to come after Israel anymore. They are done. Okay. Another time point, which I want to reference, is the Great Flood. And this is where it gets very interesting. Why? Because, well, I want to back up a second here. Remember, we've talked about the Great Flood before, Noah. Okay. And the Great Flood, remember, Israel was in bondage for 400 years. Then Moses shows up and frees them from bondage, from captivity. Okay. Well, why is this relevant? Because the Mayflower landed 400 years ago. You see? So if you add 5 years, there's your grace. So my point is, it's a type and shadow of Exodus that we're about to step into, because Mayflower and captivity for Israel both were 400 years. The next type and shadow is specifically the Great Flood. Now, you will appreciate this one, Noah, okay? Because why? Because you and I, well, when we met 5 years ago, and Noah, you can attest to this, or, for those that are new, the reason you called me up to do a podcast was because you're like, how the heck did he know that? It's not that I knew it. It was the mathematics behind it, because I did a Greg Hunter interview, and we watched oil collapse to negative $38 a barrel, okay? And we watched it happen on April 21, the year 2020. And then I said, well, watch 40 days and then watch 150 days. Why? Because it rained for 40 days. Here's your cycle. So it stopped raining after 40 days, but the water kept rising from the deep up to the end of 150 days, and the water peaked out at 150 days. So here's your scriptures for it, okay? So what happened here was George Floyd riots at 40 days. Peace was taken from the earth, and ever since then, there's no way that you can say this is wrong. Ever since this exact time point, George Floyd riots, we've had rioting and wars global. There was no rioting, there was no wars until the day after the George Floyd riots. Rioting global, wars began, and we've seen it ever since. Okay. Then the 150-day mark was nothing happened, nothing. All of a sudden that night, what happens? The death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah, what the heck? So then you reach out to me and we start doing podcasts together. Is that true, Noah?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and in fact, I think it was in between those two events that we did our first show, and then so you said, and then watch for this one date. So I'm watching. It's late at night, nothing's happening, and then Trump gets off that plane. It's dark at night. They do a press conference on the tarmac, and they tell him that Ruth Bader Ginsburg just died, and that becomes an iconic moment. So then I'm texting you late at night saying, "Bo, you did it again."
Yeah, and see, this is God's glory. He just, he's revealed to me his secrets, right? The glory of God to conceal a matter. It's the glory of kings to search it out, okay? So God is revealing his majesty in the Bible. Nothing's random. That's the cool part. See, not only did God write the end, it's like, when you read scripture, hey, the church wins, so we win, right? We all know that as Christians, right? But we forget we don't even understand, which I didn't understand until now, that the time has been written from the beginning of time. Let that sink in. The timeline has been written from the beginning of time. And the devil's been hiding it. And that's where the devil messed with the clocks. So you miss all the appointments. So why I'm saying this is critical, Noah. Why I'm saying this, because we're about to witness this again. So everybody pay close. Remember I started the podcast? We're about to see mass death across the world. Mm-hmm. We're about to step into this, okay? So in the time of old, remember, the great flood in the yellow here top, what was it? There's 400-500-foot giants. And still to this very day, Noah and I have done podcasts about this. It's all over the world. There's giant Nephilim, giants all over the world, okay? Mm-hmm. So the great flood destroyed the bodies, the physical entities. And Noah and I have talked about this, and there's much research that you can see on this as well, too, in reference to, and it's all written specifically, it's all written in what's called the Book of Enoch. If you haven't seen this, scan this QR code, and you'll understand what we're talking about. Okay, they're called the Watchers, all right? So this is specifically what went down. So the Great Flood destroyed the bodies of the Watchers. But what still existed? The spirits. Because inside of them, there's spirits. So, you hear, the demon-possessed people. Guess what? They're occupied by the spirits of the Nephilim. So the bodies are gone. The spirits are looking for a host. And my goodness, if you turn the TV on and you see what's going on in Wall Street, Hollywood, the media, the government, that you want to know where the spirits are, who they're occupying right now. Look what's been exposed to us, right? So in that time point, we saw the destruction. The bodies were destroyed. There was a residual lineage that went on through Cush and brought Nimrod. So ultimately, they're still trying to rebuild Babylon. But what this is really about, it's about eras of time. So this is what I want to show. We're in biblical eras. So the priesthood era there was creation. And then after the flood, we got the priesthood era. Then Christ, the Star of Bethlehem, Christ appears. We got the church era, the former house. Haggai says the latter house will be greater than the former. So this is the age of grace. This is the age of the law. And now we're about to step into what's called amazing grace. And this was actually prophesied by Kim Clement. So this is going to be what's called the glory era, where God's glory fills the earth. So Noah, when the sun comes up, the light shines. That's the glory, and evil must flee. So we're in a moment in time where God's about to intervene on humanity and evil's about to flee. What's the timing on this? I'm glad you asked. So we're looking at the timing of all of these events going down, and specifically, when does the death phase begin? And it specifically starts in 2026. And here is the time window on what we've all been trying to grasp and figure out. This is what the Lord showed me just literally yesterday and the day before. And I put it into a slide format. So here you go. The green is the Julian calendar. The calendar used when Christ walked on the earth. That is your true calendar. The white line here represents the Gregorian calendar. So what is the date today? No, it's January 5 Gregorian. So in 2 days from now is January 7th, which is actually Christmas Day on the Julian. On that day, if we tap this into and we type in shadow it to the great flood, that's the day that God instructs Noah in Genesis 7:1 to get into the ark. So Noah enters the ark this coming Wednesday into Thursday after Thursday. So Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, because it's always sunset. So this Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, Noah and his family enter the ark. They're in the ark for 7 days, and then the rain starts, the ground breaks open, the waters burst open from the deep, and God slams the door shut on Noah's ark. What day is that, Gregorian? January 14th, which is New Year's Day, Julian. So there is your calendar. So you thought Trump attacking Venezuela was awesome or wild? Oh, Noah, we haven't even touched January 7th yet. And then comes the 14th. And then from the 14th, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. At the end of the 40 days, all the Nephilim bodies are dead, which takes us into the end of February, into the 23rd into the 24th. So February 23rd into the 24th, the rain stops. So if you want a time point where the world is about to shift and change forever, we're 2 days away, Noah. And more importantly, we're then beyond that 7 more days away from one of the greatest shifts in human history. And why this is critical, because God stepping in will change the course of history and is then going to shift us from what has been called the church era into the glory era. So we're about to witness the birth of God's kingdom on earth. And God's kingdom on earth is a kingdom of honest money, silver and gold, right? So you want to talk about silver. Let's talk about silver first and then get the cryptocurrencies, because this is important. So how does God destroy the bankers? He uses his money, specifically silver. Now, here's a chart, the private chart I decided to share today. I want to show this to the viewers. Please look very carefully to this, okay? Why 71 was so important? Because if you draw the channel going back 45 years, 45-year channel from 1980 Hunt Brothers, 2011, and the bottom here in 2020. You draw the channel midpoint is $71.50. Guess where it stopped before Christmas, right at Christmas time, and then blew through it.
It did.
Right there. So it took out the middle channel. It took out resistance, because resistance becomes support, okay? So if you look above your head and you jump up and you hit your head on the roof, you do that enough times, you're finally going to knock a hole through that roof. And then that roof, that 7150, becomes support. That's how charting works. And now that we've blown through 7150, look what happened. It went through 7150, went to $84, and then right after Christmas, what number did it drop to, Noah? 71.50 and change, 71 and change. Okay, and now it turned around, is back to $76. So the chart is screaming that the next point, look at the top here, $48 in 1980. If you draw that across, what's the next target, Noah?
Yeah, it looks like, you're zooming in, 121.
Exactly. But it's not, that's, if it stops there, that would be bad. It's not going to stop there. What it's going to do, it's going to blow through 121 and shoot to 140. And what have we said damages are? $140. Why? Because the base on silver has always been 20 bucks. 20 times damages is 7 is 140. So it's going to go to 140 and then it's going to drop back down and it's going to be support at 120.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's going to be the next support line. But this is the destruction of the banks. Because why? Because remember, when it went through $71.50 to $84, it was all over the internet. The damage was $17 billion. The banks were short. Okay. So if it were to go to $100+ that's over $100 billion the banks would lose in a single day.
Yeah. Wow.
So you want to know what destroys the banks? Silver. They're naked shorts. Okay. So this is about to happen here. And then this is the wild part. You want to know why this is biblical? Because there's a thing called the golden ratio. Actually, they're called Lucas numbers. This is crazy. Someone actually texted me the Lucas numbers. I'm like, hey, that's because I always check out stuff. It's like when you sent me the stuff on the 421.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the calculation on the 3x plus 1. So the moment I get something that triggers me, I'm like, hey, let's explore, right? So the glory of God is to conceal a matter. The glory of kings is to search it out. So there's a thing called Lucas numbers. This is crazy. So this is 2011 right here. This is specifically the golden ratio. Okay, so let's zoom in. Look at the golden ratio numbers. This is crazy cool. So write numbers down: 11, 18, 29, 47, 76. So God showed me these are, you know what they are? They're support numbers. Look at this. Let me just zoom out here. Look at it, 11. So it went up, it dropped down to $11 in 2020 on the crash, on the stock market crash. Came up, hit $29, and then dropped down to 18. It shot all the way up through 29, came back and tested 29 at 0.5. And then it shot up to 47, tested that, blew through it, came back down, tested 47 in October, reversed through 47. Now we're in the year of Jubilee, above 50 bucks. And guess where it's trading right now, Noah? You said it at the beginning of the podcast.
No, it is. I just looked at my phone. 76.
It's trading at support. So what's the next Lucas number?
Looks like 123.
There you go. Your next support line. So it's going to go. I just showed you 120 on the Fibonacci's. Okay. So basically you're 121. So you're looking at a next target of $140 on silver. Nobody can stop this from happening. $140 is coming, and then it's going to back off and drop down about 120 for support, just like it did right now. And then after that, we're going to go to 4 digits. This thing's going to $1,300, and then it's going to go to 4 digits. And then it's going to, this is crazy what's about to happen because we're at breakout. Nothing can stop what's about to happen. So silver destroys the banks, Noah, and then we've talked about XRP. Bitcoin, they go gangbusters because the globalists who've been manipulating silver for generations are gone, literally gone. Like, I mean, millions gone. And then you get true price discovery with silver, and watch what happens to XRP. And the reports I've given you, Noah, we've talked about XRP in the reports. We've got some awesome price targets for XRP, things that are coming. And nothing can stop it from happening. Nothing can stop these price targets from coming after God intervenes. And the key time point we want to watch here is the middle of January onwards, from the 14th onwards. And those next 40 days, I'm telling you, Noah, it's going to be time like no other. And then not only the 14th, there's 10 days afterwards. So in other words, these things I believe are going to happen on the 14th into the 15th, and that's going to transpire for the next days afterwards. There's a historic day, I think, coming, I believe. Remember, Noah, what do we say? 4, 2, 1, right? April 21 was when the Pope died of this year. But when did oil crash, Noah? On April 21, 2020, right?
Yep.
What's the reverse of 421?
124.
When's the next 124? January, remove the 0, 24th. I believe that day is going to be a day the world will never forget. So again, how this all plays out, whether the dates are exact or not, it's irrelevant. The point I'm making is the Fibonacci numbers, the calculations I've shown you, everything pointed to Christmas marking the greatest turn in history. It did. Silver on Christmas Day embarked on the greatest one-day move in history. In history. So we witnessed it happen on Christmas Day, which tied in incredibly with what we talked about with the menorah and the 421 loop. And now we're waiting for a shift to manifest. The calculations are screaming, study the Julian calendar, study the Julian calendar. And New Year's Day is 14th. And so you're asking, what is crypto going to do? One word, explode. What is XRP going to do? Explode. What is Bitcoin going to do? Explode. And why are they going to explode, Noah? Because silver took out the bankers and silver caused the explosion.
Yeah, well, that actually leads into, I've got a question in the chat over on Rumble. And speaking of the chat, Bo, I usually like to say, let's see if we can get all 50 states represented in the chat each time you come on, because we always have so many people in here. And I think I've really been shooting too low in those targets, because we are flooded with people all over the world. We've got Arizona, Arkansas, of course, a ton of states. But let me just read a few of these from the show today. We've got New Jersey. We've got the UK. We've got Australia. We've got Texas, Missouri, again from the UK. We've got Quebec, Canada. We've got Slovenia. Bo, people are tuning in because they saw you were on from Slovenia, and on it goes. So pretty incredible. Really, people all over the world live with us right now. But one question that ties into that silver page that you had up a minute ago, and I'll just preface it by saying, everybody's situation is different. Bo tells you what he sees in the time cycles and in the charts, but everybody's personal situation, your stage in life, your financial status, all of those things are different. But we've got Kim is asking whether it's still worth it to buy silver right now at these prices. Based on that slide you had up, looks like maybe it would be. But and again, everybody needs to make their own decision. It's different for everybody. But that question came in, Bo. I'll turn it over to you to speak on that.
Well, again, we've been talking about silver for a long time. Everybody thought we were crazy. Now silver's at breakout. It's broken out above $50, and now it's about to accelerate. Okay, so I guess the better question is, the saying goes, a wise man asks a question with another question. So my question back to whoever asked the question is, if you today could buy Bitcoin for $1,000, would you?
It sounds pretty good. Bo, I'll chime in. And again, Bo tells you, and he actually, you should check out the last show we did where we talked about Bo only tells you what he's doing. You have to decide what you want to do, and you don't have to copy him exactly. But he told us he was actually selling all of his crypto at a certain point, and then he bought it back. We covered that in the last show, and we showed screenshots and everything. Really incredible. He hit both of those just perfect. And so people can decide what they want to do. But I'll just share for me. And like I said, everybody's different. No one should copy me. But I had a bunch of silver, a bunch is relative. But for me, I had a bunch of silver in a retirement account. And I traded most of that when we went up to 80. And because both said silver goes first and then XRP. So XRP has been really depressed. It was down in the $1 range. And silver was at 80. So I traded a bunch of my silver for XRP. And that's just what I did. And I always like to do full disclosure on here. And so that's what I did. It was in a tax-free account, so I didn't have to pay tax on the gains. I was really happy buying silver for the last 5 years, listening to Bo at $20 and then selling it at 80. That's pretty cool. So one thing that I would add, and I'm not a financial advisor. Bo's not a financial advisor. I'm not even a chart guy or a time cycles guy. I just have fun having people like Bo on the show and listening to them. But I do think there's one piece of advice that's I've always thought was very, very good. And it's not personal financial advice, but it's just general common sense. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. So if you've been listening to us for 5 years and you've went from $15 to 80 on silver, never hurts to sell a little bit. Maybe sell a little bit, keep a lot, or sell a lot, keep a little, whatever's right for your situation. But it never hurts to book a gain and put some money in your pocket. Bo, you had
and can I add this too, Noah?
Sure.
So I want to say, with what you're saying, I can't disagree. I would fully agree with what Noah said there, but be careful on what you buy. Because, for example, if you sell an asset like, a precious metal, right? And you don't put it into something valuable, because the least valuable thing in the world right now is a US dollar. Nobody wants it, okay? So if you're selling something, one of the greatest asset that you've waited for in history to finally go up, and it's finally going up, and now you're buying US dollars with it, you got to ask yourself, why would you do such a foolish thing? And again, because they've been creating the dollar out of thin air for over 100, and now we just started Christmas Day started 112 years.
Yeah, boy, that's really true. I'm glad you said that. The last thing you really want is more dollars right now. They lose value every single year. I think since I don't know what the stat is. Bo's had a slide on it for a long time, but I think since like 1913, the dollar has lost 97% of its value or something. So the last thing you want to do is, there it is right there, is just hold dollars, because they're going down on a daily basis. But if you have some great gains and you have something you want to put it into, for me, that was putting it into XRP. I think that's very undervalued right now. And I think Bo has been coming on this show however many years, and especially recently, the last 3 or 4 shows, saying, watch out, guys, silver leads and then XRP goes. And XRP is going to have a tremendous future, according to Bo's reports. So that was a good trade for me. And your situation.
Yeah, and actually, I want to add in, because the Lord, forever, I've been kind of like, I've known about XRP, I've had XP for a long time, but it always bothered me deep down, because I know when I go to the globalist website, World Economic Forum, the one coin they've always had there is Ripple, the company Ripple, which their coin is XRP. So it always deeply bothered me. But then the Lord revealed to me something very interesting. He goes, I will use all things for my glory.
Yeah.
See,
right.
So when the glory era hits, for a window of time, God is going to use XRP, and he's going to rip away the globalist plans for their one world government. It's going to rise in the future, but not now, because right now, God's going to show his glory. See, the devil showed his might for the past 5 years, and now God's going to show him who's in charge for the next years to come. So this is awesome what's about to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And, I've had the same thought over the years, and I certainly see a lot of deep state connections to XRP. That bothers me. But I've also just had this theory ever since 2017 that it's very clear that's the coin they're going to use. It's very clear they're going to send it through the roof, as far as you ask me. And so I can either stay away from it, or I can ride the wave with them and try and use the money for good and do something good with it. So that's good. And
yeah, it's actually the scriptures right here. To the person who pleases God, he gives them wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. What have we been talking about for like 5 years, Noah? We've been giving people wisdom. We've been happy, and
that's right.
We're giving people knowledge, right? This is what we've been doing for 5 years. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to then hand over to the ones who please God. Ecclesiastes 2:26.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. All right. Well, Bo, you are officially in the XRP family now. We inducted you a couple years ago, and so it's nice to have you in the XRP family. And your personal report, your newsletter, does actually, you mentioned it earlier, but I want to mention it again. You have some incredible price targets for XRP in there, and you've got all the other ones too. You've got Bitcoin and a lot of the ones you see on the screen.
12 coins we follow.
Yeah, and so Bo has some specific targets he's watching and looking for, and then as well as the time cycles, and that's probably even more important. He watches the time cycles. So if you want to get that report, you can go. I've got it on the screen here at the very top, gold2020forecast.com. You excuse me, go there, and Bo's going to give you 50% off if you're listening to this show right now. So when you go through and do checkout, type in WLT 49. It's going to give you 50% off, and then you'll get access to the entire backlog of newsletters. It's really cool.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. And so you can go in there and
see. No, actually, I believe it's 7 years, to be honest with you, Noah. It's been an incredible journey. But, for 5 years or 4 years we've written, because you and I did the podcast. I got this is just fun. Glory to God, right? But it was fun that you and I did that podcast when I was in Switzerland, and Bitcoin crashed down to $1,400 or $15,000. And our newsletter had it. It had even the day it would crash. And then we said from that day forward, it's going to run up into late September, October 2025. And that's where I sold.
Yeah. So go ahead and fact check us on this. If you want to get in there, check out the historical archive. They're all in there. And then you can go back and match them up to the prices or match them up to the shows we've done. And it all checks out. It's really cool. And then, of course, you'll get the new ones going forward. Every couple of days or so, Bo has a new report out. And they're always, whenever I see the email come in, I usually click into it right away because I want to see what he's saying. So that's a lot of fun. Gold2020forecast.com. And then be sure you save 50% off with the code WLT49. And then, Bo, do you have the other slide on there too for your school? Yeah, you got that in the slides. He's also got this easycryptoschool.com. That's something he created several years ago now. And it basically is for anybody that maybe is not in crypto yet, or it's intimidating to you. You don't know where to start. You don't want to make a mistake or do something wrong. You can go in here, sign up for this. It's like a school. It's like a class. You can take it at whatever pace you want, different modules in there. And it'll take you from knowing absolutely nothing about crypto to learning how to do it safe and secure and do it the right way, which websites are safe, which wallets are safe. What can you do there? So the same thing, easycryptoschool.com. And he's also going to give you 50% off if you're listening to this show right now. There is an expiration on that, so don't wait around too long, but you can use WLT49. That code is active now. It will shut off after a bit, but he always turns on the code anytime we do a new show as a thank you to people for listening. So that's cool. Bo, I would certainly give you the last words to wrap up here, and I'll scroll the chat real quick. We had a lot of questions come in. I think we kind of answered most of them just as you went. Here's an interesting one about the COMEX. I'll throw this up on the screen. I don't know if you have any insight on that or any thoughts, but the COMEX is a big part of all this, and it's probably a big part of all of this breaking, if I had to guess.
Actually, I'll give this is actually very interesting. So when you look at the COMEX, right, the COMEX forever has been they've been holding.
Tell the people what that means, Bo. What's the COMEX? What do they do?
The COMEX is the bankers. So this is the whole we've been talking about. Basically, the bankers manipulate the price of silver through the COMEX. So it's an exchange where basically they control the price of silver. It's actually a warehouse that they store the silver. But the problem is that it's called the best I can describe is called hypothecated and non-hypothecated. Basically, it means that if somebody bought an ounce of silver, you think that, you own, if you go on the paper exchanges, because you can go get a broker and you can, electronically own 100 ounces or say 1,000 ounces of silver, because each contract is 5,000 ounces. So you can control a contract for X amount of money, and you believe you control that bar, that 1,000 ounces. Mm-hmm. But what they do is they sell that same 1,000 ounces. From what I gather, I don't know the exact numbers, but I hear 300 to 500 people believe they own that same bar.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like having a house. If you own a house and you can sell to 300 to 500 people, what a scam, right? But that's what they do. And so they create money out of thin air to create these digital contracts, and they make people believe they own silver, but they don't. And so it's a paper representation. So it's a big fake game they're playing. Mm-hmm. So they're playing this fake game of it's about faith and confidence. That's what the world runs on, faith and confidence. And you're about to find out there is no more faith. There's no more confidence. You've been scammed. and the truth is about to come out. So when the truth comes out about the comics, Bitcoin, silver has been manipulated by the banks. They create all these paper contracts. They sell it back and forth each month, and so they've been keeping the price suppressed at the under $20 to under $30 range forever. And so they've done that forever. In the meantime, in the back, secretly, JP Morgan has been piling in on silver. They've been buying silver. So JP Morgan has right now the largest physical position on silver. Okay. So they right now hold the largest.
Oh, we lost Bo. Let's see if he pops back on. Because this was a great question. We were just getting to the end of it, and I don't want to miss out on that. Let me text him, make sure he even knows he dropped off. Everybody stay put. We're going to wrap this up because I want to get that question in here. There he is. He's back.
Oops, hit the wrong button trying to share. Sorry about that. So Bitcoin, so silver right now, and JP Morgan right now has the largest holdings. Can you hear me, Noah?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so JP Morgan's vault of One Chase Manhattan Plaza currently holds a staggering 147.3 million ounces of physical silver. Okay, so let's look at this visually. So they control this much physical, so the largest holdings of physical silver, and they hold that, I believe, in the COMEX. Okay, they're short in the COMEX, and other banks say JP Morgan short this much. So when they go net long, they're going to dump this entire position. They're going to dump it. It's just going to blow up. They're going to just drop it, and that's going to cause silver to go crazy. They're just going to go net long, and it's just going to explode. You want to tell these crazy number I give you? It's because the banks, JP Morgan's going to go net long. And these whatever billions of dollars, 100 billion, whatever they lost, that's called the price of doing business. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to make billions and billions and billions of dollars on their net long position. And in doing so, the other banks, maybe 3 other banks, are going to go bankrupt. So JP Morgan has planned this forever to take out the other banks, and they want, because, well, the one world government, how many banks are you supposed to have?
Yeah. Wow.
So, but this is the beautiful part, right? God actually knows what they're going to do, and JP Morgan is going to use all the laws that are written against JP Morgan, and as time progresses, mark my words, JP Morgan will end up owning 0 silver. 0. They will lose all of their silver for the fraud that they have committed upon humanity. So that's prophecy, because the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Not opinion, it's prophecy. It's scripture. And so as much as JP Morgan thinks they've got one up on all the banks, God's got one up on all the... As much as JP Morgan thinks that they have one up on all the banks and they're smarter than all the banks, God's going to be one up on JP Morgan.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, great question about the COMEX there. I appreciate that. And, for people who don't know too, so the COMEX, they sell the same contract multiple times. Like Bo said, that's what people allege. That's what people believe. It seems to be what the numbers bear out. And so if everyone came to redeem that silver, it just wouldn't exist. And then that's where you get the problem. And the other thing to think about, though, in connection with all of that, is silver is essential in all of these AI computer chips they're building, in all of the EV cars like Teslas that they're building. You are muted, Bo. We can't hear you. There you go. Oh,
3 ounces for every Tesla.
Yeah. So
and talk about the new 48-volt battery.
Well, yeah, it uses even more of that. And
900 miles on a 10-minute charge.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. So that's clearly where things are going. And these companies, they buy contracts and they hedge, because they know if Tesla can't get the silver, they can't make their cars. So they've got contracts to buy the silver. So now imagine Tesla saying, "Okay, we need the silver. Let's deliver it to me, COMEX," and COMEX can't deliver. And that's when the whole system blows up. So anyway, great question about that. Really fascinating. You can just see, if you can see it all, you can see the writing on the wall with the industrial demand for silver to keep the AI and to keep the Tesla cars going, and a bunch of other things. Solar panels are very big on silver. So just the demand that we need to keep the world running is going to, I think, drive the price way up.
And we haven't even referenced military. Every
Yeah.
bomb requires silver. Every single bomb. And when this and should Trump decide to pull military rank, okay, he can actually request that all silver owned by all the big corporations within 30 days must be turned over to the military if he wants.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, the military is possibly bigger than all the other ones combined, and that doesn't seem to be slowing down either. So anyway, congrats to everybody who has been buying silver over the last 5 years, listening to these shows. That's great. My emails have just been out of control with people emailing me saying how happy they are about that. So Bo, great job on that. I do have one note I've gotten. Speaking of emails, I've had some messages come in here during this show. People saying the promo code at the top of the screen, WLT49, is not on yet.
Give it about 30 more minutes. Just give it back. Give about 30 more minutes. I've been waiting for my tech guy to get it up and running.
We will get that turned on. So apologies to everybody clicking over there, trying to get in. Don't finish it up until you get the promo code. We'll have it on in a few minutes. Just check back. It's gold2024cast.com, and WLT49 will be working shortly. So everybody, thank you for joining us. I think we might have had a record number of people in here. This was a blast. Bo, I'll give you the last word, and then we'll have you back on again soon because things are going to be changing fast. I've got 17, 114, and 124 written on my paper here. We'll have you back somewhere in the midst of those to reflect on what's happening, but I think we're in for a wild ride. I'll give you the last word.
Noah, we've waited a long time, and to be honest with you, I'll finish on this. When Noah got to the Red Sea, well, actually, when Moses got to the Red Sea, there is one phrase that God gave him: stand still and watch me. Stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord. This is the Christmas season. This is the New Year season. We are stepping into the greatest rest we've ever imagined. So the year of Jubilee, between now, when God moves into the 4th of July, we're just going to watch God.
There we go. I like it. It's been a long 5 years. It's been a tough 5 years, and now we're. I mean, you can just feel it. The calendar has turned, and this 2026 is off to a different start. So it's time, and it's going to be really fun to sit back and watch. So we will do that, and Bo, we will have you back on again very soon. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see. Oh, by programming note. Dr. Manuel Johnson, Manny, is coming back on the show tomorrow. So tune in. I know I mentioned that because it's a good friend of Bo's, and he actually connected us. So Manny's coming back on the show tomorrow. He's got a
I got to say one thing. And speaking of Manny, and anybody who lives in Canada who's on this podcast, Pastor Manny and myself and our wives are going to be in Calgary, Canada, this Saturday, the 10th, and then Red Deer, Alberta, the day after on Sunday. So for those in the Great White North, come say hi.
Are you going to be at a specific place, Bo, or where are you going?
Yeah, actually, it's on my website. If you go and just quickly jump to my website, the link is there. There's a link of, if you want to actually post, that'd be great. Just click on the link from my website, Gold 2020 Forecast, and you can see the information there and how to get a hold of where the event is. And it's actually specifically, remember you interviewed Pastor Arthur Pawlowski?
Yeah.
It's at his church. So scroll down a little bit higher, go up a little higher, and you'll see the picture of the event. Keep going up, keep going up, a little higher there. Keep going, go. Keep going. There it is, right there. The revival. There, click it. Click it. Click the button. Click it there. Hit right on it if you want. It'll load. If you hit the page, it'll load.
Oh,
if you hit the picture, yeah, click on the picture.
No, it just opened a new tab. Here you go. Try this.
Okay, yeah. So there it is. If you want to zoom in on it, Saturday, 9:30 at Pastor Pawlowski's church. There it is right there.
Oh, very cool. Man, I wish I could go to that. Oh, that's great. All right, everybody. Well, I'll put details of that. I'll put this image down below the video and in the article here that we release. And if you want to go see If you want to go see Bo, if you want to go see Manny, if you want to go see Pastor Pavlovsky, and I don't think I know Sean, but he looks like Sean's going to be there. Amazing time. So
yeah, Sean's church is in Red Deer, so he's coordinating Red Deer.
amazing. All right, well there you go. If you're in Canada, go check it out. I wish I could be there. All right, well, Bo, thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you all on the next one.